guys, thanks for tuning in. Mr. Drew here, and I'm going to explain to you the element project. So let's start by going to Schoology, and I'm going to look in the element model project folder right here at the bottom of the page. Okay, what do we have? The element project itself, a few links, a periodic table, another periodic table, and model drawings of the elements, and then a way to cite your sources. So let's start by looking at the project and try to figure out what this is all about. The due date is October 21st, which is Wednesday. You are a lead researcher for one of the exciting elements on the periodic table. You'll be assigned an element in class. And if you're remote, I'll notify you by messaging you in Schoology. So be ready for that. Open up the file to your desktop and edit the document to include all the details you need. I'll show you the rubric in a second, so you know you've completed all your requirements. Use the links to help you, and when complete, your square will be printed out and we'll be making a brand new periodic table in the classroom. And a bonus, if you actually make a model of an atom, you can receive up to 5 bonus points on your project. This is an example of actually making the atom. Let's open up the document and see what we have to do. Okay, as you can see, the document opens up, but it's not as neat as I want. I'm going to go up here and open in desktop app. That's really important so that you can edit it and so that it will look more like this. This is exactly what we're looking for here. This is the rubric. This is going to be what you need to do, and this is going to be how we will be grading you. 40 points total, with 15 being accurate information. You'll need the basics: the name, symbol, mass, and number of your atom, whether it's solid, liquid, or gas, metal, metalloid, or nonmetal. And then 5 properties. And I give you some example of what properties are. Properties are words that describe the atom or element, like melting point, its color, whether it's flammable or not flammable. Does it dissolve? Maybe the density. These are physical features that you could actually look at or see or measure about your atom. Interesting facts, which are not properties, are things like, what is the element used for? How does it affect your life? How it was discovered or where it can be found. You could answer quite different questions than that, but these are just to get you started. Same with the properties. Every element's different. Some elements have very distinct, unique, excellent, wonderful properties that you'd want to share. But knowing the melting point of every atom isn't necessarily that important unless that becomes useful because it has such a high melting point that it can be used in those types of applications. So try to make sure your properties and facts are, in fact, interesting. The diagram, we're looking for a Bohr model, which you can print, or if you'd like to freehand draw, that would also be acceptable. But make sure it has the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons, and the orbitals of the correct Bohr model configuration. The element card I'll show you in a second will be how we make our new periodic table. Works cited is how we give credit for the research we do when we look up the properties and facts. Your classwork or homework time will be graded. We'll give you a 10. It'll be basically based on the appearance, and if it looks like you spent quite a bit of time on it, it will be obvious that you did. And the bonus of up to 10 whole points to build the model of the atom, depending on how thorough and how detailed you get with that, you can earn up to 10 points. Here on our second page is a rough draft place where you can kind of do a brain dump to just draw with your stylus and maybe write down some things like physical properties as you research, just to dump them here. A drawing, you could insert a picture, copy and paste, the number, the name, the symbol, and the mass we'll need. Here's some interesting facts and examples of your element in the real world. So this is just a place to keep your things as you collect. Now we're getting into the actual project, what you'll be submitting. This page will allow you a place to write down all of the properties and main information about your element. Here is your, again, like I said, properties and interesting facts. We will put works cited in this box, and I'll show you when we do the links exactly how to do those. And finally is our periodic table square, where you will put the number, symbol, name, and mass. And of course you'll erase the word symbol and write the symbol, and the name and the mass will go in those spots. So and of course don't forget the atomic number at the top. So make sure that your square looks something like this for carbon. And we will color code and print those out here at school, and then we will put them up on the wall so we can have our class version of the periodic table all up to date with all the research that you find. Let me show you where to get the resources for this project. So back in Schoology, in the folder, there's an interactive periodic table which opens right in Schoology. And if you're doing something like hydrogen, lithium, sodium, by hovering over the element, you'll get a close-up view of your element. Notice there's lots of interesting information here and properties. Again, pick the ones that you think will actually be useful and interesting for us to know about, because it does something special for your atom or element. Okay. I'm just wondering what happens if you go to the word and you click, you get even more information. Okay. More properties than you'll need, and plenty of extra things to scroll through and find out about iron and where it could be found and its uses. Okay. So every element will have that. Chemical is another site similar to the last, where you can click on the element. It will tell you a little bit about how it was discovered, some of the physical properties, what it looks like in its pure state, what it's used for. Could be in the form of a compound. Some videos about magnesium, and a whole bunch of useful information. The Bohr model gives you diagrams. This doesn't open in Schoology, but if you click on, let's try titanium. Here's a Bohr model with 22 protons, 26 neutrons, and all the electrons in the correct configuration and what orbitals they'd be in. So if you're thinking of building a model, you might want to start here so you can see how many materials you would need. There's also more interesting information about each element there. Alright, and finally I'll show you how to do the citations. Again, we have to actually click on this. And for most of us, we'll be using websites as our citations. Just remember, Google is not your source of information. It's just a search engine. It's a way to search for information. So what I would do is, if I used the website here, it's called chemicalelements.com. I can start typing that in. You do have to put up with some ads for this site. Here it is. So that's the website that I'm going to use. That's the website that gave me the information that I just did for my project. Here's what we found, and that is exactly the one we want to use. I didn't see any additional information about other authors, but if you do see that, you could actually add those. But otherwise, it should be almost ready to go. I just hit complete citation. Here we go. This is the official method for citing a source, which tells us the website and the year and when it was accessed. I can just simply copy. Now I've got that copied, and I can go ahead back to my project. And when I get my project up, I can paste in the text box. Okay, just make sure you have it on your OneDrive and that it's working, and that should be fine. So that's how you cite your source. So again, your goal is to find out as much as you can about the element And we've all been assigned a different element so that we can make this big periodic table for the classroom. The project is here, and these are the sources. When you open the document, make sure you open it as the desktop app. And mine didn't open as nicely this time, but I know I've got one. Seemed like the first time I opened it, it was a little bit clearer. No, it's here somewhere. Anyway, I'll just go with this. We've got accurate information. The name, symbol, the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons, its mass, how many orbitals it has, and so on. Again, we're not typing on here. This is just how we grade you, so you can check these off as you go. Important information, properties, interesting facts, works cited, and of course, finally make the square. So I hope that helps, and I hope those resources will help you complete your project, and hope you have a lot of fun. Just be watching for, if you come to class, I will be telling you what atom to do, and if you're at home, we'll be giving you a message and letting you know what that is. That's not due until October 21st, but I suggest you get started on it. So it's not all due at once. It is quite a long, lengthy project. So guys, thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Good luck on your project.